So I'm doing topic 2, and topic 2 shows a situation in which there's two athletes, and they're gonna run a race, and you can either decide to dope or not dope, and whichever action the other one takes will affect the other. So if they both decide not to, then there's no advantage given to anybody, and the race is ran fair and square, and whoever wins wins. So yeah, and then if one person decides to dope, then they will obviously gain a pretty big advantage over the other one, but they will still have to deal with all the negative consequences that come with doping, like maybe physical side effects or legal consequences. Yeah, so if they both decide to dope, their advantages will cancel each other out, and they will still have to deal with those negative side effects. So maybe they'll get some weird health scare, or maybe they'll get kicked out of the race for cheating. So anyway, that would not be a great outcome. So yeah, this is really similar to the prisoner's dilemma that we learned about in the previous chapter. So that one, if you don't remember, was basically two prisoners having to decide whether or not to confess to a crime, and if one confesses and the other one doesn't, it just changes the whole situation. So to make a decision in this situation with the athletes, they want to use a dominant strategy, which is basically just a strategy that is best for a person to choose regardless of the strategy that the other person chooses. So yeah, athletes in this situation. So not doping would be the dominant strategy, as the consequences are less severe regardless of whether or not the other person chooses to dope or not. The worst case scenario of choosing not to dope is that your competition maybe gains an advantage over you, you lose the race, but at least you don't have to deal with all the crazy weird side effects that doping might bring about. Worst case scenario for doping is your competition also decides to dope, cancel each other out, and you've taken this drug for nothing, and you have to deal with all the legal and physical consequences of that. So factors that might change this outcome is that, say, maybe one of the athletes hears a rumor that the other one is going to dope anyway, and so in this case they're like, oh no, I don't want to lose this race, so I better dope too. So obviously this is not a great situation, because they would both just be better off choosing not to use the substance in the first place. So this situation would result in a Nash equilibrium. They're both worse off, and they have no incentive to change their decision, because that would result in maybe the competition gaining an advantage over them. So yeah, that is one of the situations in which it might change.